Hello everybody, welcome to Fascinating Biology. This is the first official video where I'll be covering the first chapter in the book, which is cell theory, cell specialization, and cell replacement. So without any further ado, let's get straight into it. So organisms are either unicellular or multicellular. Unicellular basically means that the organism is single-celled. It consists of one cell. Multicellular means that the organism consists of more than one cell, multicellular. So examples of unicellular organisms are Paramecium, Eubacteria, Archaea, Euglena, etc. Whereas examples of multicellular organisms are humans, chicken, trees, fish, etc. There are three principles of the cell theory. The first principle is that all organisms are composed of one or more cells. Second, cells are the smallest units of life. Number three, all cells originate from pre-existing cells. Here's the evidence for those principles. So for example, for the first statement that all organisms are composed of one or more cells, the evidence is that so far no one has been able to find any living being that is not made up of at least one cell. The third statement's evidence that all cells originate from pre-existing cells is basically through an experiment conducted by a dude named Louis Pasteur, and the experiment's name is spontaneous generation, where he had a nutrient broth, as you can see in the picture, and he heated it to such a temperature that all the microorganisms, all the bacteria, everything, nothing would live, everything would die. And you see he has this kind of a tube thing here on top. So what this does is it basically allows air to enter, but it does not allow microorganisms to come in. The microorganisms would just settle over here and would not reach the nutrient broth. So 1 year passes, he just leaves it there, and then he comes to check it out and he sees that it's free of microorganisms. There's nothing living. Then what he does is he breaks the curved neck. Is that what it's called? Okay, so curved neck. He breaks the curved neck, and then he sees that nutrient is teeming with microorganisms. So this basically proves that there's nothing like spontaneous generation, and that all cells originate from pre-existing cells, and in this case when they're exposed to more cells. So here are the functions of life. There's 7 functions of life, which include metabolism, which are chemical reactions that occur within an organism, reproduction, the passing of hereditary molecules, homeostasis, maintenance of constant internal environment, excretion, which is pooping, growth is the gradual development in maturity, age, size, or weight, response, any behavior of an organism that results from an internal or external stimulus, nutrition, the process when living organisms obtain food and use it for growth, metabolism, and repair. So guys, have you ever wondered why cells don't grow larger? Well, that's because of a principle called the surface area volume ratio. You see, the volume of the cell controls the rate of heat, waste production, and resource consumption, whereas the surface area controls what materials exit and enter the cell. So it's logical that a cell with more surface area per volume ratio is able to move more materials in and out of the cell for it to function more effectively, So for example, let's say we have 3 spherical cells with the following radius, so 0.25, 0.5, and 1.25. This is the calculation, how we calculate the surface area of a sphere and volume. And here we can see that this is the smallest radius, this is the largest. And you can see what happens to the surface area volume ratio is that the smallest cell has the smallest surface area volume ratio, which is 11.29 is to 1. 6.04 is to 1, and 2.4 is to 1. So this basically means that large cells compared with a small cell has a relatively less surface area. And this affects the ability to bring in materials that are needed and to carry out the functions of life. So, I mean, this just means that an elephant has more cells compared to a rat, instead of the elephant having larger cells than the rat. And yes, there are larger cells present, and usually they have modifications. For example, they're long and thin rather than being spherical, because being long and thin increases the surface area to volume ratio. I know it's hard to visualize how small cells actually are. So this is just a chart to compare molecules being the smallest, sizing at 1 nanometer, and about 100 micrometers for the cells. So you can see that they are quite small. We're comparing here molecules and cells. So cells are very, very tiny things, okay? Moving on to cell reproduction and differentiation. So cells reproduce to grow in multicellular organisms and to replace damaged and dead cells. Why did I say skins, man? Okay, so all cells have the same DNA, but however, each cell will become a specific type depending on which DNA segment is active or turned on. Are you with me, guys? Some cells have a reduced ability to reproduce once they become specialized, or they also lose their ability completely, like nerve cells and muscle cells are good examples of these. Others, for example, skin cells, retain their ability to reproduce throughout their whole life. There's another concept called the emergent properties, which is very important to understand. And the saying goes that the whole is more than the sum of its parts. Here's an example. So an example of this would be that what a cake basically does to our bodies or to our tummies is far greater than any of its singular parts. For example, this base, this strawberry, this cream, or even this flour, man. What a whole cake can do is to our tummies is far greater than these individual parts. Same happens, or the same goes for our body. A whole multicellular organism is capable of carrying out more functions than the sum of functions of each. It's like differentiated or specialized cell. That makes sense. Okay, so stem cells. What are stem cells? Well, stem cells are undifferentiated cells. They do not have a specific job. Instead, they have the potential to become all other kinds of cells, any type of cell in the body. And when these cells divide to form specific tissues, they produce 2 daughter stem cells. I'm not sure. Is it 2? I think it is 2, man. I hope it is 2. So, plants basically contain stem cells in the regions of meristematic tissue, so which is near the roots and stem tips. So the farmers basically, for example, make use of this when they want to propagate plants. So what they do is that they cut the area where the meristematic tissue is present, so near the roots and stem tips. And what it does is it activates the stem cells and they start, growing leaves or whatever is needed for a plant to go and create a whole new plant, So propagation, that's how plants propagate basically. So guys, the joke of the day here, if you understood or if you were paying attention to when I was explaining what stem cells are, you would get this. If you don't get this joke, then watch the video again, give me some views, and I hope you will understand this. Moving on to research and treatments. So there was a mention of Parkinson's and Alzheimer's diseases in the book, which are caused by loss of proper functioning brain cells, and scientists are trying that stem cells could replace many of these lost and defective cells. Sorry, the stem. Oh, this is wrong. Okay, here. This, just ignore this. Okay, and at present, research is being carried out on mice. So it's not yet on humans. It's been carried out on mice, and let's hope that the mice get their functioning brain cells back, and so we can carry it out on humans, and it works and stuff like that. The next is the Stargardt's disease, so which is caused by the parents passing genes to the offspring that has a defect in vitamin A. Vitamin A, as you can see, is essential for light-sensitive cells in the retina to function. So for the first 20 years, the person having the Stargardt's disease will have a central vision lost, which basically means that he'll see dark, spots, and you will see blurry images and things like that, which will eventually lead to blindness after that. And the treatment for that is basically embryonic stem cells, which we talked about earlier. Ethical considerations. So the pluripotent stem cells are obtained from the embryos, and harvesting these cells involves the death of an embryo. So some argue that this is taking away a human life, whereas others argue that the research could result in reduction of human suffering and therefore is acceptable. So what do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comment section below. Interesting discussion, okay? Let's do that. Time for a quiz, guys. Now, I'm actually running out of time, so what I want you to do is just pause the video when the question appears and, just write the answer or think about the answer, and then I will, in a couple of seconds, just show the answer. So pause it and then play it to check the answer. So here we go. The first question. Name 3 unicellular organisms. The answer: Paramecium, Eubacteria, Archaea, Euglena, etc. List the 7 functions of life. Answer: metabolism, reproduction, homeostasis, excretion, growth, response, and nutrition. Question number 3. A cell with more surface area per volume is able to move more materials in and out of a cell. True or false? It's true, guys. Question number 4, and the final question. What is the disease of the retina that can be treated by stem cells? It's the Stargardt's disease. Moving on to positive comment shoutouts. Now, the first positive comment shoutout of this channel, the most awaited thing, the most awaited whatever. So the positive comment shoutout goes to Yasmin Sherholm. Love this channel so far. Amazing work. Thank you, Yasmin. A good friend, very kind, and a super nice person. Thank you for subscribing, Yasmin, and keep supporting. And if you guys want to win a positive comment shoutout, all you gotta do is leave a positive comment down below, and if you're lucky, you will get picked. Yes, that's it, guys. That's the end of the first official episode of Fascinating Biology. Please do subscribe to my YouTube channel if you found this content is helpful and you want to see more of this. Please leave a like down below if you like this video. If you did not like this video, feel free to hit the dislike button, but let me know in the comment section below what you did not like so that I can improve the next time. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Good luck.